A long time ago, in a city, there lived a poor old woman all alone. One day, she had only a little flour left in her house, and she had neither money nor any hope of earning. Taking her small bronze bowl, she sadly went to the river to bathe and fetch water. She planned to use the last bit of flour to make unleavened bread, but she had no idea what would happen afterward. At the riverbank, she covered her bronze bowl with a cloth to keep it clean. After bathing, when she removed the cloth to fill the bowl with water, she was shocked to see a poisonous snake coiled inside. Terrified, she quickly covered it again and thought, "Ah, merciful death! I will take you home, release you from the bowl, and you will bite me. Then, my sufferings will finally end." With this thought, she hurried home. Once inside, she shut all doors and windows, then overturned the bowl onto her stone hearth. But to her astonishment, instead of a snake, a magnificent jeweled ornament fell out of the bowl. She stared at it in disbelief before picking it up with trembling hands and wrapping it in her shawl. She rushed to the palace and requested a private audience with the king. When she unwrapped the shawl, the dazzling ornament fell before the king's eyes. Overjoyed, the king gave her 500 silver coins and kept the ornament. The old woman returned home, now wealthy enough to live the rest of her life in comfort. That evening, the king excitedly showed the ornament to the queen, and they both decided to store it in a locked chest, the key to which always hung around the king's neck. A few days later, a neighboring king sent an invitation to celebrate the birth of his daughter with a grand feast. The queen insisted that they attend, wearing the new ornament. However, when the king opened the chest, the ornament was gone. Instead, inside lay a beautiful baby boy. Shocked, the king called the queen. She gazed at the child in awe and exclaimed, "What a lovely baby!" The king, though puzzled, decided to adopt the baby as their son. Years passed, and the young prince grew up in the palace. The two kingdoms later agreed that the prince would marry the neighboring princess when they came of age. The same old woman who had once brought the enchanted jewel was appointed as the prince's caretaker. She was devoted to him but had a tendency to talk too much. Over time, rumors spread that there was something magical about the prince's birth. When the princess's mother heard about it, she became curious. The night before the wedding, she advised her daughter, "After your marriage, remain silent until the prince himself asks why you're not speaking. When he does, ask him about the mystery of his birth. Don't speak another word until he tells you the truth." The princess obeyed. After their wedding, the prince soon noticed his bride's silence and asked why she wasn't speaking. She followed her mother's instructions and demanded to know his secret. The prince refused, warning her, "If I tell you, you will regret it for the rest of your life." But the princess insisted. For months, she continued to press him, making their marriage cold and distant. At last, the prince could bear it no longer. "One night," he said, "at midnight, I will take you to a place and reveal my secret. But once you hear it, you will never forgive yourself." The princess, eager to uncover the truth, ignored his warning. That night, they rode on horseback to the riverbank where the old woman had first found the snake. The prince stopped and asked again, "Do you truly wish to know?" The princess nodded. The prince took a deep breath and said, "I am the son of a distant king, but I was cursed and turned into a snake." The moment he spoke the word snake, he vanished. The princess gasped as she saw ripples in the river and, under the dim moonlight, a snake swimming away. Soon, it disappeared, leaving her all alone. She waited, heart pounding, hoping the prince would return, but nothing happened. The wind howled through the trees, night birds screeched, and a distant hyena howled. The river flowed dark and silent. By morning, her guards found her in tears, disheveled and broken. No one knew what had happened to the prince. In grief, she built a small stone hut near the river and spent her days in mourning, refusing to leave her secluded garden. Many years passed. One morning, As she woke up, she noticed a fresh mud stain on her carpet. She immediately called the guards and asked who had entered her room at night. But the guards swore that no one could have come in unnoticed. The same thing happened the next night. On the third night, the princess stayed awake, determined to solve the mystery. To keep herself from falling asleep, she pricked her finger with a knife and rubbed salt on the wound. At midnight, she saw a snake slither into her room, carrying mud in its mouth. It crawled to her bedside and dropped the mud onto the carpet. Terrified, she mustered her courage and asked, "Who are you? Why are you doing this?" The snake spoke. "I am your husband, the prince. I come to see you." The princess broke down in tears. The snake continued, "Did I not warn you that you would regret knowing my secret?" "Yes," she sobbed. "I regret it more than anything in the world. Is there anything I can do to bring you back?" The snake hesitated before saying, "There is one way, but it will take great courage." The princess vowed, "I will do anything." On a special night, the snake explained, you must place 4 large bowls filled with milk and sugar in the 4 corners of your room. At midnight, all the snakes from the river will come to drink. Leading them will be their queen. When she arrives, you must boldly demand, "O Queen of Snakes, return my husband to me." If you falter or run away, you will never see me again. The princess promised to do as told. On the appointed night, she placed the bowls and waited. As midnight approached, she heard a hissing sound from the river. Hundreds of snakes slithered into the room, their glowing eyes and flickering tongues making them look terrifying. Leading them was a gigantic, fearsome serpent, the Queen of Snakes. The guards fled in terror, but the princess stood her ground. As the queen approached, the princess shouted, "O Queen of Snakes, return my husband to me." The snakes hissed among themselves, "Her husband! Her husband!" The Queen of Snakes came face to face with the princess, staring at her with burning eyes. But the princess did not flinch. She repeated, "O Queen of Snakes, return my husband to me." After a long pause, the Queen of Snakes finally spoke, "Tomorrow, your husband will return." Exhausted, the princess collapsed and fainted. In her dream, she saw that her room was filled with snakes, and they pounced on the bowl of milk lying in the corner of the room. In the morning, she woke up filled with hope. She changed out of her mourning clothes, cleaned her home, and decorated it with flowers and lamps. That night, she waited eagerly. At midnight, the prince returned from the river, human again. Tears streamed down both their faces as they embraced. The next day, they returned to the palace. The old king wept with joy, and the entire kingdom celebrated with music and feasting. Years later, the prince and princess became the king and queen, ruling wisely and happily. The old woman, though too weak to care for their children, remained in the palace, believing she was still useful, and that made her happy. And so, they all lived happily ever after.